Truly fabulous and always an honour to be able to say the Mekons live in session for us here on Six Music. And you've just heard You're Not Singing Anymore, followed by Mud Crawlers. And hello, Mekons.
Hello.
Hello, Marc.
Tom, would you like to introduce your bandmates, please?
Okay, on my left, Steve. And next to him is Dave. Do you want surnames as well?
No, we're family. Don't worry about that.
That's fine. And then John, Eric, Sally and Susie and me, Tom.
The full kit and caboodle. So it's great to have you back, you know, and you all have lots of other things going on in your lives, I know that. But when you reconvene, because it's been a while, is it one of those situations where it's like you saw each other yesterday and you're all family, or does it start with a furtive nod?
It doesn't start with a furtive nod.
No, we're all family.
It was a rhetorical
It's pretty
question.
friendly, yeah.
It's very tactile.
In a way that a family is, where everyone wants to strangle each other and hug at the same time.
But, do you know, well, I was going to say, I mean, but after all this time, you're obviously used to each other's ways and your proclivities, you know, and you have got a 38-date tour, you know, different continents and all that, but it's a lot of time in a van with each other, so you must be used to each other's ways by now.
No, it's
Well, we
terrifying.
normally live about 6,000 or 7,000 miles apart.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Even when we're in the same building, we're 6,000 or 7,000 miles apart.
Do you know, I had a conversation with a mate of mine who left a band, an established band, and he said he got to that point where it was like, and do you know what? I hate the way that you eat apples. That was the way he kind of summed up the brooding thing whereby, you know, when it actually, you know, it overboils, then that's the kind of thing that tips you over the edge.
I totally
I know exactly
understand
what he
that.
means.
Sally is disgusting the way she eats apples.
So, do you know what I mean? I know splitter vans have a no solids rule quite often. I think you should have a sign on the door saying no apples.
There's no toilet in our splitter van.
Is there not?
No.
That's
I
hugely
don't think we've
inconvenient.
ever toured with it. We just tour with a bucket.
We'd all be in there all the time.
Okay, so let's get a little bit serious. So what triggered the new activity, the new album Horror?
Who are you asking?
Whoever wants to answer, really.
Oh, okay. We've been going consistently over the last, 500 years, and it was time to make another album. But then
and we did that
pandemic
about
happened.
300 years ago.
Yeah, the pandemic happened, the plague came again, and we were going to go to Valencia and record an album, and then we couldn't, so we made an album via the internet, which is very bureaucratic and difficult. But once things cleared up, we went to Valencia.
Right.
It was the same studio that Janet Bean and Rob Lloyd recorded in, so we had reports how good it was.
Right, okay, because I was going to ask you if you made this record a bit like Stevie Wonder and Macca with Ebony and Ivory and didn't actually get in the same room with each other. Was there a bit of that, or did it all come together, in
This
Valencia?
album, Horror.
No, we all went to Valencia in 22 and recorded it there, and it just took a while to finish it off and mix it and stuff.
Okay, and I mean, having said that, I was going to say it's a political beast, but the world has changed, not for the better, I would suggest. Not putting words not putting words in your mouth or anything, but that you're looking at like 2 or 3 years ago when you actually laid the foundations for this record, and already it was kind of looking at the world with a side eye, wasn't it?
I think if you look back at the songs we had when we were like 19, 20 years old, they were all kind of, the end game of that was what's happening now. What we feared then is the same as what we fear now, except now it's...
You don't need a crystal ball, really.
Capitalism gone mad, Mark.
Well, I know, this should be Radio 4. I'm sure they will cut this bit of the programme out and put it on Radio 4 at some point.
Do you know anyone over there? How do we get on there?
Yeah.
Radio 4? I can have a think, Yeah, I can certainly have a think.
It's 2 down from 6, right?
Yeah, I'll just knock on the wall in a moment, don't you worry. But one reviewer called it a bracing thesis, which I don't think ever happened to the Fratellis, so you're doing the right job. You are pressing buttons there still, after all these years.
Well, that is what we do, right? I mean, I don't know how it happens, but there's always...
Sometimes I can't reach the buttons anymore.
Another reviewer said it was post-punk sermons.
Oh.
Right, okay.
I don't think I like that.
No, I don't think so either.
The sermon bit doesn't seem right, like you're wagging your finger at people, which is certainly not. Though you would have to say, like, musically, War Economy, although it fits the theme of the record itself, that could be filed under post-punk.
Yes.
Okay, we're in agreement, but you're not wagging your finger at anybody. So after all this time, can I ask you, how much of a democracy is it in the Mekons?
It's anarcho-syndicalist. We recorded it in Valencia. We have meetings about everything.
Okay.
Nothing is decided without a majority, and not even what we eat or drink or anything.
Well, do you know, it's funny, I had House of All in session a couple of months ago, and that's a democracy, and they all bring new tunes into the studio, and of course, being X4 members, that's unusual anyway. It's a different kind of working experience.
Allowed?
Yeah, absolutely. But I did say, what would happen if somebody brought a really horrible cod reggae riff into the scenario, and then somebody just shouted, "One of us did."
They'll just say, "Hey, John, we're not doing that."
But we don't do that. We do start from scratch, pretty much.
Right, okay,
So,
all right then.
No one brings their horrible cod reggae songs along.
No, we write it all.
You do your own
Together.
side project albums, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get it out of our system.
We write all the lyrics by committee. That's why we can't remember any of them, because they don't really make any sense narratively. So it's good.
It would be good, actually. You know, I don't think you can say the name of the game anymore the way that it is. But there's that the game whereby you'll write a line down and fold it over and pass it on to the next person.
Exquisite Corpse. That's the last record. We did that with the last record when we recorded it in 2020, and we were all locked down, so we did it completely remotely and recorded it on our phones.
Please have some copies.
We've done it already. Sorry.
You invented it. I thought I'd come up with something original there. No, fell at that hurdle.
Yeah, we haven't been doing it this long for you to come up with anything. It's all been done.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, mate. And so, John, I just want to go back to, I do remember quite vividly. I mean, it was that vivid, the memory, that I remembered that you had two axolotl pets in a tank.
Wayne and Alison.
Was
Did you come and visit them, Mark?
Yeah.
You had a spider called Bob Evil. No, it's Scorpion was Bob.
Bob Evil, he was called. Yeah, you're dead right, mate. But so was the axolotl Wayne named after a famous goth singer?
No.
Right. Okay. So, but we were discussing.
We've been enough trouble in that area. So
no. All right. I'll move on. But your axolotls, as unlikely as it seemed, were a topic of conversation on this program a couple of months ago. But beyond the axolotls,
really? Wow.
yeah,
their fame lives on.
Yeah, of course it does. But I do remember you pulling two albums out of your collection, and those albums being very influential for you. One was Yellow Moon by the Neville Brothers.
We definitely went through a big Neville Brothers phase, but I think Daniel Lanois kind of wrecked that record. I think it'd be much better if they'd produced it themselves.
Right,
All
okay.
that tuned reverb nonsense. Great singers and great songs. It was my introduction to them, really.
Right, okay. But the other one, which is a band that I was aware of, but never bought any record, but you were dead right, it's a killer record, is Music from the Big Pink.
Yeah, the band. The first day the Mekons, before the Mekons formed, I met a couple of the other guys who were in the Mekons, and we went round Kevin's house, and there wasn't any punk rock at the time. It's about 1976. You couldn't listen to punk rock records, and we listened to the band, and I was kind of accepted because I liked the band as well.
Right, okay. But that didn't come to the Mekons didn't start out sounding havoc with the Americana. I don't really like that term, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Genericana.
If you like. But it didn't surface with the original Mekons, did it? So it came to fruition, obviously, further down the line.
Well, I think after we were on Virgin Records, we just we just did what we wanted to do. We had no real ambitions and no kind of love of. We saw punk rock as a horrible cul-de-sac, and we just suddenly the world opened up, and there was all this other music.
But they were still the same three chords, so it's quite handy.
We thought. Well, somebody actually said to us, "Where Were You?" was a country song. We didn't think it was, but he said, well, it's just Terry Nelson from Chicago, who you met, actually.
Yeah.
Terry said it's a 3-chord song about drinking in bars and failed sexual relationships. So.
Well, you could also say it's a folk song, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Which is kind of the same thing, I
it's
suppose.
all folk music.
Absolutely, yes, if it's got a point, certainly. So, John, you've got an exhibition coming up in Newport. Would you like to tell us about that before we go to your dates, which I'll read out shortly?
I'm going to be stuffed and put in a glass case in my hometown.
Nice.
At the museum, June the 13th, and we're playing in the museum on the 14th, and in a public toilet down by the docks that evening, which has been cleaned out and turned into a venue.
Oh, the glamour.
It's fun. I've played some toilets in my time, but this one actually is a toilet.
Right.
June the 14th, come to Newport. Only 35 people can get in.
Right. Okay. Book early, as Fred Ponting used to say. Right, so you're playing tomorrow at the Con Club in Lewes. On the 9th, you're playing the Corn Exchange in Newport. On the 10th, Brudenell Social Club in Leeds. The 11th, Stereo in Glasgow. The 12th, Clooney, Newcastle. 13th, I'll be away, sadly. The Deaf Institute in Manchester. The 14th. I know. Thanks for that. Hare and Hounds in Birmingham. And then I'm finishing off at the 100 Club in London on the 15th of May. Okay.
Off to Europe.
Yes, you've got, like I say, 38 dates I counted, I think. But the album is called Horror, and it's Ace, and we've got 2 more tunes from the Mekons coming now. So what are you going to do in what order, please, guys?
We'll go back to you were talking about that time when we made the Sin records, when we were credited with introducing country music to punk rock, which is complete nonsense because loads of people have done it before us. But and this doesn't sound anything like country music or punk rock. It's called Oblivion. And then we'll finish off with the song you mentioned already, War Economy.
Brilliant. Okay, the Mekons live from Maida Vale. Thank you.